Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy Heroes. We're back with Grand Arena starting Season 32. This is Week 1. We begin the season in Kyber 3 because we finished the final week of Season 32 in Kyber 2 and got knocked out because we only have 2 GLs and Kyber 2 has become a bit of a nightmare. I do think before we get started, I want to do a quick recap of how those battles went. We used to do this more consistently as a regular feature. I think we'll try and bring it back where the first match of the week, we'll just see what I was attacked with. We'll try and be quick about it though. So round 1, this was a loss. We went 1-2 for this final week of 3v3. Most of this is straightforward. GL up against my Malgus. Wampa, though, fails up against Qui-Gon. You need higher relic levels on your Wampa if you want to attempt that. Even then, I'm not sure I like it. Clean it up with Sidious. The rest of this he has no trouble with. Used Raddus up against my Tuskens. Most of this was fairly smooth sailing for him. I forget exactly what happened. He had either had more GLs on his well, he had way more GLs than me. Our Chimera here, I couldn't match his efficiency regardless. I don't even remember if I full cleared, but this is why I like the Chimera. You have to play it a little bit differently. You can beat it, but if you are just on autopilot, it will trip you up. And I've got Relic Pilot on the TIE Interceptor now. Let me see, did I full clear this guy? Yeah, I full cleared him. I just couldn't match his efficiency. This match, round 2, we were both playing near the end of Grand Arena and both ran out of time. I was able to edge him out, though, for the win. He took GL up against Malgus. That seems to be the prudent way to go. He had a lot of GLs to work with. Everyone was deep in GLs. He attempted Malak up against Tuskens. You got to have AoEs against the Tuskens, so you got tripped up there. I've attempted this before. He's got higher relic levels on Kylo, and he has crew there, and they wouldn't have been able to get around the taunt. But I attempted a Kylo solo up against the Tuskens, and it did not go well. I think I went up against Relic once, though. Then Fleet here, I don't think... We ran out of time. I don't even think I did Fleet. Gas here up against CLS. This was the last week of that Datacron, and I had good Datacrons on a lot of these teams, CLS being one of them. Sortie here, this is what I wanted to check out. Standing up to a... He must have made a mistake selecting his characters, because Stark doesn't have leadership. It's things I've made before. I've chosen the wrong characters to go with slots. But Chimera holding up there again. Final match. Veers losing to Bossk. Piet losing to... That's weird. I guess maybe the preloaded turn meter. He set everything on defense with his GLs. This was a slaughtering for me. It's something that I'm surprised more of my opponents don't do more often. Is just set all their GLs down. Because I do not have enough counters. And the counters I had... I attempted it without Datacrons, maybe would have had a chance. Datacrons, though, completely altered the playing field where my non-GL counters couldn't match. This annoys me a little bit because this is a reminder of how the Grand Inquisitor event has not returned. It's been a while. I think he just chose the wrong ones. I think Fifth Brother should be in here. Because he needs to be able to target the... Or you need to take out both the raiders at the same time. Rest of this is straightforward. Oh yeah, so CLS losing to Maul. That is a nice result. But all of it is for naught. Did not stand a chance up against this guy. Here's how the bracket breaks down. My opponent is Hess. Zoom. We've cut out a couple guys because I wanted to zoom in here. There's a chance I may have played Hess before, or at least he's been in a bracket with me before. There's a couple guys. He's cut off. There's another opponent here, Zelandis, who I think I've seen before. Looking, though, at this bracket, again, this is a Kyber 3 bracket. It's a pretty decent amount of diversity with anywhere from 2 to 7 GLs, I guess, but most of the players are in the 4 to 5 GL range. Omicrons, everyone's right around that 9 or 10 mark, except for my opponent, but not massive differences. I've got not the most amount of depth. Alpha Mike here has the most. I think he dropped down into this bracket because he was not active during the 3v3 season. I expect to see this guy in the final round if I make it. With the relic units, I'm on the lower end. I'm the lowest. I'm actively working on increasing those numbers. I'm going for multiple GLs right now, so those numbers will get higher faster. It's something where Datacrons have changed the math on that, where it's way more important, and just so you can fill a team. A lot of my other counters just we're past that stage of the game where that's not going to work in the Kyber 2 level and pretty soon the Kyber 3 level. But I still stand by it as the best way to develop your roster to get things up and running very quickly. 6-dot mods, this was one of my bigger advantages for a long time. Not counts, but quality, and that is rapidly shrinking. We'll return to this in the future. We're pretty good here with top 500 speeds, not so much in the top 25. Our counts are still good. It's just, we were lapping opponents before, and we are no longer lapping opponents. My opponent this round, though, he's got, it looks like, a slight advantage on the top 25. I've got an advantage in the top 500. Counts, we trade it back and forth. With the Datacrons, I'm recording this a little bit after the fact because we're going to just be talking over footage because I couldn't record live. I only had one level 9 Datacron at sign up. That second one has been since the conquest period. In terms of GLs, my opponent, he has 5. 5, I can count. Then we have, in terms of Omicrons, I have 2 Amis on Malgus and the higher relic level. He's got faster Malgus, but only 1 Ami and only relic 5. His Raddus is in progress, mine's relic 9. In terms of the bracket, 2 players don't have Malgus, everybody else does, and almost everyone else who does have him is relic 7 or higher. And the Omicron distribution is pretty good. Most of the players who do have a usable Raddus have the Omicron on him. That's one I'm going to do. I'm just tiptoeing into it. He's usable without the Omicron. I do want to do a little bit more testing with him before I put it on. And I'm saving my Omicrons for Swolo, Grand Inquisitor. There's a lot of projects right now. Hondo, I want to put that on me on. Somehow, somebody doesn't have Iden leveled up. 1 player without Starkiller. 1 player without them. The Starkiller player doesn't have Dash going. Everyone else, though, Starkiller is at least Relic 5 and up, including my opponent. Only 2 players have more than a single Omicron on them. I'll get to a second Omicron on that at some point. Same with the Dash Ami. Now that Jabba has been released, I feel more comfortable putting it on because I was just a little worried that there was going to be some surprise smuggler synergy there that looks to no longer be anything to be concerned about. So I feel comfortable putting it on because it's a leader Ami. Those leader Amis, they can be nullified. And now with Hondo being released, Dash is going to look like to be the preferred leader until maybe some other things appear. Hondo does have a lot of plug-and-play viability. Wampas are all pretty good. I've got a better one. Only one other player has a Savage Ami. Alpha Mike here. He has a lot of Omicrons, but he's a spender. One player without a Maul. My opponent has the faster one, and he's got Relic 6 to my Relic 5. The rest of that's fine. And players, there are 4 Profundities in the bracket, so half of us are working with it. We'll take a look at the Hotbot now. Hotbot here, we've got a probably fairly evenly matched if you see the amount of green versus red. We trade things back and forth. Guild, I'm slightly better, not a huge advantage. He does a good amount of undersizes, no clear advantage there. He does them. That's really what I'm looking for. Clears are a little lower, but within range. Just tells me he's serious. A second, we got a motorcycle going by. Most of these Omicrons are Territory War Omicrons. We saw that in the bracket. He had fewer than me when it came to Grand Arena ones. I've got Zeta advantages, which that's notable when you have an opponent with so many more Galactic Legends and they are that far behind me in Zetas. It just tells me there's a lot of Zetas he doesn't have. Mods we looked at. Relic distribution. I just want to see if he's top heavy or not. These are spread out pretty well. These speeds on the key characters, a quick look, but really these are matchup dependent. It's just something to keep in mind. And again, no profundity. Grievous, Qui-Gon, Bad Batch, and CLS. CLS has a Datacron. Not an ideal one, though. You could tell from the symbol it's a Mando Datacron. But we did just lose the Rebel Datacron set just expired. So this is starting to come back to me. So I didn't have a ton of time with this match. And even though I knew I was going to win and I could do a lot of testing, I just had to get this one done. I had to get back to work and other priorities. So this is a little bit more paint by numbers and straightforward, where I just try and muscle my way through as quickly as possible. That's why you see this is a little bit faster. This is a pretty short video, and it's going to be even faster because we are doing this playback at an accelerated rate. We're doing this at like 1.5. So Bad Batch here, this is something I used to do a lot more often before Wampa came along, but something I like doing. Couple things that you want to be careful of with how you select some of these moves. It'll come up in a moment. Right now we're just trying to figure out if I want to do my basic or just do adaptive learner at this point, if there's any benefit towards doing the basic. I guess I decided no. So I want to keep Echo alive. That's the number one thing. But this swap here, this is the key move. Always swap to Omega. Use Omega's ability to heal and get protection up and to stay alive. When I don't do that, that's when my G11 Bad Batch lose. And that is what, like, the common knowledge about Omega was, I mean, she didn't add anything to the squad and she didn't really raise the ceiling, but what she did do was raise the floor, and she keeps them alive and allows you to punch up against these Grievous squads. And we're done. And moving right along, Qui-Gon here, I wish I would have done some testing, like use the Inquisitors. Like I want to just showcase the in-progress Inquisitors as you move towards the Grand Inquisitor, what they can do. But time being what it was, I just decided not to do it because I've done it in the past and it's not great. But this is not a great Qui-Gon squad. There's no Anakin. It's a little less annoying. Like, Kenobi is pretty annoying on the squad, where it's just you have that taunt that just never goes away. The only thing here, like, I like using the Night Sisters. They're a nice, fun counter. You just want to keep Cam stun locked, because the Armor Shred will counteract the Zeta from Odaka. The thing here is you just want to keep bringing back bodies from the leadership Zeta from Telzane for a couple minutes. Like, you really want to get down to maybe that 2-minute mark, and that's when you want to take out Qui-Gon. Ayla's being a little annoying. That's one of the nice parts about bringing Tali along. But Tali also helps with the healing immunity from Anakin. And what I'm really trying to pay attention to is when these guys do hit Daka, I don't want them doing a lot of damage. So now you can see they're not doing a ton of damage. So at this point, I'm going to feel more comfortable eliminating Qui-Gon, especially without Anakin. Much less concerned about something happening. This is actually the second time I'm recording things because I paused at one point earlier and never unpaused, so I got to re-record. A little annoying. The dogs were not cooperating. Maybe I should have just done the special. Not deal with a sacrifice. Not that it matters. If I did have the Omicron on Asajj, this would be full banners. I don't know if an Omicron is worth 5 banners, though. It also eliminates the RNG, makes it a lot safer. But yeah, it's fine. So you can just see me just bringing out the big guns, just moving fast. I just had to get this done. So with the old set of Datacrons expiring, this is just me trying to figure out what I want to use now. This doesn't really matter for this match. It works. I guess it helps with banners a little bit, keeping protection around. Getting Echo out early so that Zeta can't do any damage. Yeah. Okay. We got aerial advantage ready to go. Almost full banners. Next week we're going to have Swallow around for some testing. That I'm looking forward to. That's part of the reason why I'm being careful with Omicrons is I know I'm going to have to put at least 1 or 2 onto him. Shifting to Jedi Knight Revan. This is a straightforward counter. Forgiving. It just, the AI doesn't play this as smart. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the video, where I just need to get some extra relics so I can use Datacron. So I take out Bastila Shan, who is good for this squad, and am instead putting in Shakti. And just finding a Datacron with some synergy. It's not ideal. Now that the old set expired. Being careful with this strategic advantage. We don't want to deal with the counters from the CLS squad. So not doing AoEs. I think it's a little hairy here. Now we can start doing it. Steal a stealth. Now we can start passing around that strategic advantage and doing some damage. Hopefully at some point we'll be able to start talking about things. I think I'll talk a little bit more about Andor. I don't know how much I've talked about Andor in videos yet, because we've had a week off, and then last month being inconsistent with videos. I'm sure I talked about it a little bit. Loving Andor. I think in the next video we'll talk about She-Hulk. But I tend to try to be spoiler free, so we're not going to get too into details about things. Just more big picture stuff. Back wall here, we're looking at Bossk, Bam, Night Sisters with the Asajj Army. Like, I like that Asajj Army, but I'm kind of glad I didn't put it on. And what I'm really looking for with Omicrons is that they give me a new team, not make something better. Like, the Asajj Army makes Night Sisters much better, but not... I don't know if they make them enough better. It's not fundamentally changing what they do, and that's why I've been hesitant, even though I like it. And that's been the deciding factor with a lot of Omicrons, like now with Dash and with Raddus, where I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, even though I really want to do them, because now that those characters have high relics, you want to build on those strengths. And part of the reason I was hesitant with Dash was I wanted to wait until Jabba was released, and now he's been released, and my concern being that there might be a fringe Jabba squad. I never thought it was going to be like the ideal Jabba squad, but there was going to be some synergy for smugglers with him, and would that pull away Dash as like a potential, like maybe for a GL specific counter or something. There was always the possibility of it, so I was always being hesitant from there. So you can see I finally took a few of these characters up higher on relic levels. That delayed my farming on Chrysanthemum a little bit, but I want to be able to use this Datacron. It was all for this Datacron. It's one thing about Datacrons where it's limiting actually how well we can know how these characters actually function. Because it's not like the time between me getting Malgus and me having access to this Datacron was that much time. Like, this is just the level 9 Datacron, but we've always had the level 6 Datacron. Or I guess maybe not. Yeah, so we're just taking out Starkiller quick. That's the win condition. And now from here, it's whatever. Nice. Moving right along. We're just going to GL this. We're going to just start talking nonsense because nothing to learn on some of these. Like with this one, the big thing is not wasting Ahsoka's Annihilate ability. I guess Datacron's, the old set expiring, so now we got to just, this is what we were talking about with Gas and some of these other characters where we have to figure out a new Datacron to use with these characters. There's some synergy there, and it's all those secondary stats we can utilize. But with the pre-taunt, we don't want to waste Cat's attack here. So just taking a beat. Because we need to take out Malgus. And with him gone, nothing to worry about. Yeah, so Andor. Episode 5. I will not be surprised if that turns out to be my favorite episode of the series. It's fantastic. Because good as episode 6 is, the degree of difficulty is nowhere near as good as what they did with 5. The dialogue, the writing, the tension just that built up throughout that episode is just so expertly done. I'm just so impressed with 5. 6 is a spectacle. It's fun. It's great. It does, the whole show does TIE fighters right. Like what here, here's one of the differences between like Abrams and other, like what's going on here, and what I don't like about Abrams and his acolytes, and this will apply to what I hate about like Star Trek Discovery. And it's not just them, it's just they do it, and they've been in charge of these genre properties that we all love. It's just like you get into Rise of Skywalker, and they show just all of these Star Destroyers, and it's just like there's this idea that through the sheer quantity, that is more of a threat. It's scarier. And it's not at all. All it does is raise questions like, where did they get all the resources to build these things? Who is manning these ships? Are they sparsely manned? To operate a vehicle of that size, you need just a army of people. Are they present? So you have all these questions, and then it's just like you take this one thing that is threatening and dangerous, and by having more of them, you do not make more danger. What you're doing is lessening the inherent danger of all of them. So when you see this show and you instead have one TIE fighter or a couple TIE fighters, they are so much scarier when you just have one or two or three. And especially when you have the difference in scale, when you have a person up against a TIE fighter. Like, that is terrifying. And just feeling that tension of the characters like that, you want to feel something when you watch these shows. And that's what's going on with this. I'm just loving all of it. And just like Rise of Skywalker, just feeling dead inside the whole movie. And now I just want to rant about what's his name? Alex Goldman? Is that the Abrams acolyte? Golds? I forget his exact name. He's destroying Star Trek, and I hate him. And he does the same stuff where, but what he does, he likes to do these like little bitty ships. So it's almost like a swarm of bees. So he'll make all these tiny ships. And he did this, and this stuff happened like the, or it's Akiva Goldsmith, I think that's his name. And so you see like these visually dumb things where it might look cool from a 3D modeling standpoint, but it's not actually functional. Like what you'll see in Star Trek Discovery, or maybe you'll never see, and you should never do this. Never watch that show. They have these like haptic interfaces, these haptic like keyboards that they interact with, and it's just like moving up and down. There's no buttons. There's no way to intuitively understand any of it. It's just this visually dynamic thing that you see on the screen, and it's just so dumb. Because there will never be technology like that. The only reason it exists is so they have this 3D visual that they want to show. And it's the type of thing that is so annoying and distracting and disappointing. You see in some of it in sci-fi. Like, sci-fi loves these 3D interfaces. And I don't think 3D interfaces are going to ever be a thing. Because for a person to just be moving like this and selecting and trying to make decisions on a screen, like, this is a ton of work. Like, this will get you tired versus, like, being on a screen or a tablet and just moving your finger around. Like, the amount of work you can get done through this motion is exponentially more than what you can get done through this motion. It's never going to happen. We're always going to be using a mouse or a finger on a screen. And I want sci-fi to be more intelligent. It's something that we had more of before. Like, sci-fi used to actually try and, not used to, but when sci-fi is good, sci-fi is considering those kinds of things. How are we actually going to live? And what you'll find in these people who actually don't like science fiction as a thing, they're just focused more on the visual of it. And I think, like, Spielberg with Minority Report, maybe there were other people doing 3D interfaces before them, but that was like the first one that was like, wow. Like, it's just, it really changed. People just became obsessed with it after Minority Report, and it was cool, but it's not gonna happen. And you see it was like this Facebook metaverse stuff where it's just, trying to make work more complicated is never going to happen. Yeah, so I'm loving having this fleet advantage again, being back in the States. This is going to secure me a lot of wins for the next couple months until Profundity becomes ubiquitous. Which is why I always go after ships. I don't know if I'm choosing the right counters. Like, as we get more fleets, being a little bit more, I think being a little bit more thoughtful in how I'm countering things is going to be a little bit more critical. This is more about which fleets I'm respecting right now. And I respect the Falcon. And here, same deal. Executor. Like, Chimera can mess up the Negotiator and the Malevolence if you're not thinking through the counter. Like, the ultimate going off from Chimera at the right time can mess things up. And there's other versions of the fleet that, if you have the right relics, are very effective. Like there's Tarkin versions, but I like that you can mess up an opponent with the Chimera, which is why I used the Executor. It's just, I don't even want to think about it. Now we're going to use RavensClaw. I think he's got SWGOH from what I remember. This is still a fleet I'm learning. It's in progress. I don't even know if those are going to be the reinforcements I ultimately use. Because I'm not sure if the Phantom is really what I want with the Profundity. We'll see. So I think... I think I make a mistake here. I think I should have just stayed focused on the tank, but the silencer is kind of the win condition. I was hoping I could just get around. Now I lost my tank, and that puts me in a really bad position. And now I lost Cassian for nothing. And we never really recover. Which is why I'm just talking about, like, thinking through what are the best counters for various fleets. It was when we only had to counter 2 fleets, it hardly matters. Now, as the number of fleets increases, it's more of a concern. And you should be preparing for a Sith fleet. Sith fleet is going to happen. So we also get some turn meters, so that's why I like that, using that ability. We can very quickly start making progress. We'll bring out a tank. You gotta have a tank with this fleet. There goes Silencer, which is basically what is required to win. Without the Silencer, this fleet really gets neutered. Since the shuttle had protection up, I just decided to ignore it and go after the tank. Now we bring out Poe just as protection up has left the shuttle. You can dispel and then take it out. And now nothing matters. We should have the ultimate now. Eliminate it. And just clean up the rest. Boom. And there we go. So a pretty nice quick run. The new fleet advantage secures the win up against an opponent with 5 GLs. And a really nice roster who was able to, I think, largely one-shot my board. As I recall, except there might have been one trip up, I forget. But it's next time we will talk about She-Hulk and we will do more testing. We definitely want to focus more on that. I'm a little disappointed we weren't able to take advantage of being confident in a win and doing some testing. But we will wrap it up there. We'll be more consistent this month, and we've got a number of other videos to get out. But I want to get back to where we were during the bulk of the summer. And now that my projects are a little bit more further along, I can start giving the channel the attention it deserves again. Thank you for all the support. Be safe out there, everyone. Thank you for watching. This is still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.